Hey guys, it's Sadie here. Welcome back to another video. Welcome to another video of me reacting to your guys' unpopular pet opinions. This is the second time I've done this. I quite enjoyed doing it last time. I think it's really interesting just to see like some unpopular opinions you guys might have, and I can share what I think about them, if I agree or disagree and stuff like that. And yes, I dyed some of my hair pink. I don't know how long that will last, but I guess we'll see. Alright, so I asked you guys on Instagram for your unpopular pet opinions. There's a lot to go through, so I'm definitely not going to be able to go through everything, but I'm going to try and go through a few, you know, especially ones if they're like ones that I've said more than once. Also, there's a lot in here that are popular opinions or ones that I've talked about before, so I'm going to kind of try to go more for the ones that aren't popular. Alright, so let's start with this one. People can do everything right for a fish, but it can still die. It doesn't make them a bad owner. Yes, I completely agree with this. Now, obviously, a lot of the time when fish die, it is for a reason, whether that's like water quality or they're sick or whatever. So I think it's important to test your water when a fish does die, just so you can make sure that that's not a problem, because you don't want to risk any of your other fish dying. But I think we also sometimes need to keep in mind that sometimes fish do just die for no reason. And I say this because I see a lot of people in fish groups sometimes will like take a picture of their dead fish and they'll be like, guys, why did my fish die? You really can't tell when the fish is already dead. And you know, everyone's trying to say, oh, it was this, it was that, it was this, but sometimes it's literally nothing. And if your water quality is fine and you know, you can't find anything that could have caused them to die, like no like sick symptoms and stuff like that, they could have just died for no reason. Especially when it comes to fish like fish that are poorly bred, for example guppies and other live bearers. I find that those fish don't live very long anymore because they have been just inbred for so long now that they're a lot weaker than what they used to be. So they just don't live long in captivity anymore, and that's honestly the same with bettas as well. Their lifespan in captivity is usually about 2 to 3 years, but they actually can live to like 4 to 5, sometimes even 6 years. But because they've just been inbred, they just don't have that lifespan anymore. Which is why I always recommend people get fish from reputable breeders instead of pet stores, because reputable breeders will make sure that their fish are breeding from different generations and not inbreeding. But pet stores tend to just put all these fish that are siblings in one tank and they just end up breeding with each other. So yeah, I do agree with this. Talking to pets with a baby voice is super annoying. You baby. I disagree. No, I get it. I understand people think it's annoying, but also like, how do you not speak to a cute animal in a baby voice? Like, sometimes you just can't help it. My little man. There's nothing wrong with artificial fish tank decorations. I disagree. I think that anyone that uses SpongeBob ornaments or fake plants deserve to die. Next question. I'm totally kidding. I'm sorry. That was probably a bit too harsh. I'm totally kidding. I use fake stuff as well. But it is a big joke on my channel that I really don't like things like SpongeBob ornaments and like colorful gravel. I just hate it. And so I get a lot of comments sometimes like asking me if there's actually something wrong with it, and no, there actually isn't anything wrong with using like colorful ornaments and stuff. I mean, there's some colorful gravel that can like leach into your water sometimes, so just make sure it's not any of those ones. But there's actually nothing wrong with using that. Like, I don't care if you guys use that stuff for your fish tanks. I personally just prefer to use things that look natural. But I also do have some like, you know, fake rocks and hides and stuff like that, and I have fake plants in my total tank, so you know. I just like to joke about it. Flipping birds' wings aren't that bad. Yeah, you can watch my other videos if you want to hear what I think about that. I got a lot of things saying that like declawing cats should be banned, which definitely isn't an unpopular opinion. I think we can all agree that declawing cats is animal abuse. Like, it's literally just a fact. But because I got so many comments about that, I looked it up and I realized that it's actually illegal in a lot of states in America. I guess I just assumed it was illegal because it's illegal in my country and a lot of other countries, but it's legal in lots of American states, so that's, wow, it's really surprising to me. But I definitely agree that it should be illegal everywhere because there's just no need for it. I don't think children should be allowed pets as a gift or to teach some responsibility. There's a lot of responses about kids owning pets, you know, people saying that kids shouldn't own them and stuff like that. I half agree, half disagree. I think it depends on their age, but also depends on the actual kid. And also depends on the parents, because obviously the parents should also be aware that they are still responsible for their child's pet because they are an adult and the child obviously is a child. So legally it's still the parent's animal. They own the animal, so it's still their responsibility. But I do believe that a lot of kids these days are a lot more educated on pet care because kids have YouTube and Google. They can find so much information now. That a lot of the time even kids know more about the animals than the parents. So like if a kid's like 5 I don't think they should have a pet because that's pretty young. But if a kid's like, you know, 11, 12-ish, and they're actually putting in the effort to do their own research as well as their parents doing research on the animal as well, I think that that's, you know, actually a good thing for a kid to get a pet at that age. But I think it's a really good opportunity for parents to also teach their kids about responsibility and encourage their kids to do a lot of research about the animal beforehand and find out everything they can. I don't think that parents should get animals as surprise gifts for their kids. I think that they should kind of lead up to it and like encourage their kids to look into it, like watch videos about them and get all the supplies for the animal before getting the animal and stuff like that. You know, I definitely think it can be done well, but I also think there's a lot of kids that, you know, especially young kids that lose interest in animals quickly, and parents that also don't take responsibility for actually caring for the animal. So yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on it. I think that kids can be responsible enough to own an animal, but it's also a big part on the parents as well. I think I got my first, I mean, I had animals growing up, but I think my first pet that was like mine was when I was about 11. I got my first budgie, Quinn, if you guys remember him, and I definitely don't think we gave him the best care we could have, and I wish that I knew better. I think when I was 11 was probably when I just started like going on the internet as well, so I didn't really know of like care guides were like a thing, you know. But I feel like a lot of kids now these days, like, they grow up just like on YouTube every day so it's a bit different. Fish are worth shit. Goldfish aren't good pets for children. They need a lot of effort and research put into their care. Kind of, I have the same opinion with the other thing about kids and pets, is like half and half. I do think that goldfish definitely aren't a good option if you want to get a pet for your kid. I think honestly like a betta fish is better just because they can live in smaller tanks than goldfish, but that doesn't mean that they need less care. They still need a cycled tank, and they are tropical fish, so they still need a heater. And I think a lot of people are put off by the fact that they need a heater, but honestly, betta fish, much easier than a goldfish, trust me. You won't have to worry about getting them a bigger tank in the future or anything like that. You won't even have to worry about them getting a friend. Goldfish, a social fish, they need to have a friend. Betta fish don't, or they will kill them. So, okay, I have a lot of people saying, some people saying that cats shouldn't be let outside. Some people say that they should be let outside. Let's talk about that. I've never talked about that on my channel before. I think I actually was going to my last video, but I ended up cutting it out because the video got too long. So let's talk about it in this video, because a few years ago, I had a pretty mixed opinion on this. I wasn't really sure what to think, mainly because I didn't really know that keeping cats indoors was actually a big thing in a lot of countries. As most people in my country anyway, just let their cats free roam. But now that I've actually educated myself more on the subject, I do actually agree that we should have our cats indoors instead of free roam. I do live with family that own cats, so they're not mine. I don't really have control over what they do with their cats, and their cats are free roam. Well, I guess it's kind of different for them because of one of their cats, my sister's cat, is disabled, so she doesn't actually leave the property. She just stays around the house, you know, so that's fine. She doesn't catch anything. But if I ever get a cat for myself in the future, I would keep them as an indoor cat, and like building a catio would be so cool, so they can have some outside time without, you know, killing native wildlife or getting hit by a car. Because cats are a huge problem with native wildlife. They kill so many native birds, especially here in New Zealand. I think they're actually banning cats in a lot of areas because they've killed so many of our native birds. Like, cats are like some of the biggest pests, honestly, when it comes to native animals. And I know a lot of people use the excuse that it's their nature. It's not really true, because cats technically aren't part of our nature. Because I don't know about other countries, but I know here in New Zealand, cats were introduced to New Zealand, so they didn't originally belong here. Same with other predators, but cats being one of them. We brought them into the country, and now they're killing all the native wildlife here. I also joined like a lost and found pet group on Facebook a while ago, and I had to leave the group because every day there was like 10 new cats that were found or lost or found hit by cars, and honestly it was just too much that I had to leave the group. I don't know, is it worth the fact that your cat might never come home? I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. I really want to know what you guys think about this, because I feel like it's going to be a lot of opinions. But yeah, I don't own cats. Well, I live with cats. I've always lived with cats my whole life, but they've never been mine, you know what I mean? I actually also just looked into it, and apparently each year in New Zealand, I don't know about other countries, this is New Zealand, we have a lot of like endangered native birds and reptiles here, so that cats kill about 186 native animals a year. That's not even including the non-native animals here, and it might not sound like a lot, but it is when you realize that there's actually not a lot of native animals left. Just something to think about. A lot of people like harness train their cats now, or they get catios, and honestly I think it's really cool. And also a lot of cats enjoy being indoors. Like my sister's cat, the one that's like disabled, so she had hip dysplasia, so she had a hip joint removed like last year, so she has a bit of trouble walking, so she still has access to go outside. She has these steps to go outside and like do her business and stuff, walk around the yard a little bit, and then she goes back inside, and she spends most of the time inside sleeping, and she is more than happy with that. I feel like her situation's a little bit different since she actually can't leave the property because she can't jump high enough to go over the fence or anything like that. Matilda, Toby okay, I love them both equally, so cage size doesn't matter as long as they have plenty of time outside the cage. Personally I disagree with this, because I think that no matter how much you take your bird out of the cage, cages should still be a good place for your bird to just chill and still have plenty of space to do its own thing, because at the end of the day we can't be here to let them out of the cage every single day all day. They have to spend time in their cage sometimes, and sometimes that can be for a few hours, or maybe you can't take them out of the cage every day. Like, I think that we should give them a big cage for those times when we're not home, so they have plenty to do when we're not here. Plenty of toys to play with, plenty of things to keep them happy and distracted. Cages should be a place that they enjoy going back to. And if their cage is very small, they're not going to enjoy going back in there after they've had time outside their cage. They're going to probably think it's kind of like a punishment, you know? And a cage is not punishment. A cage is just, it's their other house basically, you know? No matter how much you take a bird out of the cage, they should still have a suitable sized cage with plenty of things to do in it. I think it's fine to impulse buy a fish without a cycled tank for a good reason. Example, helping a sick fish. I think it totally depends on the situation, because I don't think that people should try to rescue an animal if they don't actually have the supplies to rescue it. Is that a controversial thing to say? Especially when it comes to a fish, because fish, you can't just put them in some water and they'll survive. Fish need to have cycled tanks with water conditioner, and cycling can take a long time if you don't already have established tanks to use filter media from. So if I went out and impulse brought a fish, it'd be a bit different because I already have cycled fish tanks. So if I wanted to get another tank, I could use filter media and just cycle that tank real quick. If you're putting a fish in an uncycled tank just to rescue it, you kind of this sounds really bad, but it's not much better than the situation they were already in. I'm sorry, this sounds so mean, but it's just when it comes to fish, they need such specific water requirements that if you're gonna rescue one, I don't know how you would do that if you don't already have a cycled tank ready to go. Because then how are you actually going to rescue them? Like, are you going to put them in a non-cycled tank and make them go through the cycled process with them in it? Because that's very stressful and they could probably die. Or, like, what's going to happen there? Like, I don't know. It's just, fish are really specific. And I don't know. I don't think that you should rescue something if you actually don't have the supplies for it. I don't know, let me know what you guys think, because I feel really bad saying this, but fish are hard, you know, they're a hard one. I mean, the best thing you can probably do is advertise it, like on a Facebook group or something, and maybe someone else who is more prepared can get it, you know. Let me know what you think. I really want to hear what you guys think about that, because I don't know if I'm really saying what I want to say properly, you know? Pets should not be gifts. I completely agree with this. No one should ever get someone an animal as a gift unless they actually know they're getting it and are prepared. Getting someone like a surprise dog or cat or bird when they're not prepared and you don't even know if they want it, don't do that. So yeah, I think that's all I'm going to go through today. There's so many things here, but I obviously can't go through everything. But this was fun. I hope you guys like these videos because I always find them quite interesting. And I want to hear everyone's thoughts on what I talked about today. It's always fun to kind of share everyone's thoughts, and maybe I missed something you guys can add. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!